All In, their big show, they get a lot of coverage, they get a lot of momentum, and then they lead into 2 weeks of television, and it seems like they are right back to where they were before they had All In. And my question is, it's not really about these last 2 weeks of shows. It is, can they be as big as they were in today's television ecosystem?
I don't think they can, but it's so hard to, without knowing how many people are watching on Max. And
now, can I caveat that?
Sure.
I think the people watching on Max, while they are younger, and that is a benefit, I think it's all appointment viewing TV. There's no one watching on Max who is like, oh, I'm interested in giving this new thing a try. It's all the fans who always watch are watching.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think you and I both feel the same. I don't think it's as many people as some people think it is. I think
I've always been told,
yeah,
that streaming is more than likely less than people believe.
Right, because I mean, even if you look at, and it's funny because I was just listening to when they were doing the TV, I was listening to you and Dave actually, and you were talking about how David originally reported the numbers that they were negotiating in the TV deal. It was like 150.
Yep.
But that didn't include streaming.
Yep.
And then they ended up being 185. So if you think about it, that 35 is probably the streaming,
right?
Which kind of tells you that they feel that streaming is maybe like 20% of what
because
the TV
they don't get the same money yet, because the majority of their money comes from their cable division.
Because the majority of the people are still watching on cable.
Well, the majority of it's more the households and the fees that they get as being a part of that cable bundle. Like, that's more what it is when it comes to the economics. But at some point, if streaming does become where all the revenue comes from, then it just has to get way bigger than it is, and there has to be more ways for growth and for people to find this stuff, which I don't think is happening. I think I think everyone who's watching on Max is already an AEW fan, but they just they are able to watch it on Max where they may not have been able to watch it on cable.
Yes,
there's no growth.
The only way to get new people is through TV right now, and so that if there's increases in the television numbers, then that's real growth. If there's increases in the ticket sales, then that's real growth. I thought it was a big mistake. And I will say, I thought this 2 months ago when it was announced, or 3 months, whenever it was. Now I may change my mind in a month or so based on whatever happens, but I thought it was a mistake to go from All In, where you're going to have, whatever the number was going to be. It turns out it was like 28,000, to go back to 1,100 for 6 straight shows. Like, and yeah, when you first turned on Wednesday on Dynamite after All In, it kind of looked cool, sounded cool. By the second show, I was done with it. And we still have 4 more to go. Now, I think this next week's show is going to be awesome because you got the Hangman Mox match, and you got Outrunners Bucks, which will probably be great. And then you got Kyle Fletcher and Dustin Rhodes on Thursday, so that should be good too. But I do think, like, we'll see, like, if the ticket sales are increasing. I mean, they're going to have a good crowd at Forbidden Door.
Yep.
Toronto All Out is looking good. But again, those are numbers that, those numbers were always going to be good.
Yeah, so they can sell pay-per-view for the majority, for the majority. Yeah. Those fans know that those are where Tony's going to put his money and where his mouth is.
It's now Dynamite in San Jose. It's
it's
Wichita.
That stuff. So here was my last point, and we'll get out of here.
Sure.
This is my main takeaway. What I wanted to get out about the AEW thing. More so, the reason I think why they're gonna probably be up and down within a couple of percent, 5%, is because while I think Tony Khan is a really good booker for his audience, John LaRocca may disagree with me. I don't think he's a great promoter for week to week, month to month. I think he's a great promoter for when he believes he needs to sell out big shows. I think he's going to put all of his effort, and we see that with All In. Like, this dude, I imagine this dude was so exhausted from putting all of that effort into that show. And then, sometimes we see it in the TV, the consecutive weeks in the next couple of TVs. I thought both Dynamites were kind of flat coming out of that big show. But in order to be where WWE is, which that's a mountain that is probably too high to climb, you have to be multitasking weekly and being in and out and up and down and not necessarily just focused on booking. That's why there are two jobs, right? Triple H and Nick Khan and other people working with them to help them put everything on a schedule and everything in order. And even sometimes, as we saw, All In weekend for WWE, that was a clusterfuck and a half. Like it was not good. It was probably a negative for their business overall. When it comes to like just, was that good? No. Do I want to see more of that? No. So, okay, we'll give them another shot with SummerSlam. SummerSlam has to be good, I think, or there's going to be some overexposure problems. But the one thing that they're good at is they have their calendar. They are able to multitask. They're able to adjust and pivot. And I don't think Tony Khan can do that as a one-man or a one-man and a bunch of junior people who he doesn't really trust to run the show helping him. And that is, I think, ultimately going to be the reason why AEW won't be able to grow as much. But to that hardcore viewership, I think they're in love with the product. And if you are looking at it from that perspective, you have a base, you're good with your base. I think they're going to be happy with it for as long as it's, still good wrestling. So.
Yeah, I think his strength is promoting AEW as a brand, and the style of wrestling that he promotes and everything, and obviously the big shows. But in terms of the week to week promotion, I don't think he thinks that it's that important. That he's got a base audience, and whether it's 700,000, 600, 550, 0.15, 0.20, it doesn't really matter week to week. It's all about the consistency and then the big shows.
And you can always say, hey, we have this DVR audience that watches the next day too. That doesn't even count in the ratings, but we count them because they are
and
customers.
500,000 people watching every week on Max.
Yeah. So
no, I don't think he believes that, but no. And so when it comes to these big shows, he's giving everybody exactly what he thinks they want. And a lot of them do want. A lot of them probably would be happy with maybe an hour less of a show, but whatever, like they're still buying them. So, and I think All In did very well. I haven't really read up on it, but it feels
I think they did
175, 180.
Yeah. Their best buy rate since the Sting retirement.
Well, there you go. So very good. I mean, WWE didn't work, and hopefully they learn from that and stop doing it.
Yeah. Right.